sometimes when I would ask the angels questions, or I would be in prayer and my questions wouldn't be answered. So in one sense, I really don't ask anymore too many questions, because what's the point? They're not going to tell me anyway. And then when there is something important, or they will tell me something, and I may not understand it. I just say, okay, that's fine. You want me to go up that road there, and you want me to go through that door and say hello to someone.
Yeah.
Okay, I will do that. And I will just do it, and whatever way God wants it to turn out. I think we have to remember we have free will, and the angels have always told me you all have free will. You have all been given the choice to read the books, to allow yourselves to open spiritually or not, to allow that intertwining, for part of evolution, for us to move forward. And it's your choice, and millions of people have been given that choice.
Yeah.
And sometimes because of the world, we're afraid to make that choice, because we're afraid of what other human beings will think of us.
Okay.
And I think we should really leave that behind, because I know that in the future, everyone will see their own guardian angel. So many things will happen. But I know as well I'm pushing you, because I want it to happen quicker.
Okay.
Because one thing I discovered was, and I don't think I've shared it before, I think maybe I shared it with my son, I never thought I would be here for seeing the changes that I'm seeing in the world today, because I was already shown them. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually a bit shocked that I'm here. What am I doing here? I thought all that was way in the future.
Right.
Even the climate change, it's coming so fast, but I thought it was way in the future. Yeah. But yet I know we can change things.
Okay.
There's so much we can do, but I suppose humanly, governments are still thinking everything is about material things.
Yeah.
And actually, nothing is about material things. So it's kind of, and I'm telling, parents all over the world now have been in so many countries to tell their children they have a guardian angel. And I have so many newborn babies now that mothers and fathers are saying to the child, can't even say mama or dada at this stage, and they're just saying to it, how's your guardian angel? But they're saying something else as well. They're saying, how's your soul today?
Right.
And it's great to see people having the courage to do that.
Yeah. To talk about the spiritual side and to talk about God, I suppose, as well.
Yeah.
And why do we get embarrassed, do you think, or why do we get shy or faith, or?
I think it's because of, I hate the word religion, but I suppose because of the institutions of it, and so many human laws being laid down within that.
Okay.
And one thing, like this is Christmas time, and I think, I love Christmas, by the way. I want to jump up and I love Christmas. But one of the most fascinating things about Christmas is that all religions know about Christmas. All religions know that at this time, over 2,000 years ago, a child was born. It has been God has been working that miracle, getting it into our heads, regardless of what religion you are, even if you're of none. That a child has been born, an innocent child, defenseless, needing love, needing to be taken care of, and that if we would allow that child to grow up, the other part of the symbol is, that child would help to change the world, help to bring more love and kindness and all the good things into the world. And I suppose there's so many children being born today, and that worries me, because we're not looking after the children of today at all.
And it's amazing, even when you when you look at maybe how your life has changed and the Children's Foundation, and you set that up. And is that something that, I suppose, so if you're looking at life going, you know, alongside you trying to do things for children too, did you always know you were going to have to do that as well, or?
Yeah, they told me long time ago that I would do that, but they've told me of other things that people don't know of that are being done at the moment. So there's lots going on, but our children are very precious. You know, they are the future. And you can hear a little one over there. So isn't it beautiful to hear the children?
Because, you know, when you look at the news and you look at all the bad news as well on the television, you do, like, I know sometimes when watching news reports and you see things about Yemen, and, you know, I just flick over quickly because, you know, or the Syrian situation and things like that, and even really sad, tragic things that happen to children here in Ireland. You know, sometimes it's very hard to watch it sometimes, but...
It is, and we all know that there's children this year, you know, here in Ireland, homeless. Like, to me, that's, how could that possibly be? I just remember when I was growing up as a child, there was loads of people homeless. There was, you know, I can't say the word, tenement houses. But they were like just one room, and like I always remember a family that actually lived in one room, you know, probably wasn't any bigger than this little square here.
Okay.
And, you know, they ate, they cooked, they done everything in it. And yet our government, I don't know at what stage, just decided to build houses for the people of Ireland. And so we have Inchicore, we have Ballyfermot, we have Ballymun. I can't understand why our government won't do that again, because they did it then when they had no money. They do have money now, even if they say, oh, we don't. But they do, so why don't they do the same? It's like, we can't afford it. Sorry. No.
But like social justice is something that really comes out in the books as well. It's like, I always hear you saying, encouraging people, you know, stand up for others, you know, and you know, like that. You always talk about issues like that as well, and maybe more so. And do you think you've become more over the last 10 years of an activist, or do you think you always had that in you anyway? You know, like that when you would speak out, or do you think you've grown in that?
I don't know, but I think because I have spoken out about it over the last 10 years, people are standing up and playing their part. You look at France, I say well done to them. You know, in any part of the world where people stand up, and I think that's what we need to do here in Ireland. I don't mean violence, but I mean we have to put pressure. And I would love to do that myself, but I keep saying to God, I don't have the time. You're not giving me the time. You know, so I'm always encouraging others, and I would always say, you know, within your community, you know, for changes within your community, for changes within the whole country. And we have brilliant young people. I know there's quite a few young people here, so I hope they look for, you know, that they have love and compassion in their heart, but look for what's right and good for the future, not just for themselves, even though they may be very young, but not just for themselves. They have to look ahead as well.
Do you think we did a wrong turn somewhere as humanity?
You always ask. We did. But listen, we're turning back.
Okay, good. So there's hope, this is what you're saying.
Yeah, like God wouldn't have me here still doing this. You know, he wouldn't have me here. So, you know, and there's so many good people in the world, and, you know, any good you can do it all, no matter how little it is. You may think it's, you know, what's the point, it's so little. But all those little good things that we do turn out to be something so big, so important. And it's just like, you know, our environment now. You're all going to be in for a shock, by the way, because our environment is changing. And I gave loads of warnings from the time I started, but now it's really changing. And our lives are going to change. We have to change. You know, and the governments know that, but yet you have so many governments, and even Ireland, we are so bad. You know, our government is doing nothing about the environment, about climate change. It's kind of, we pay the EU, is it?
Yeah.
The lump sum instead of doing what we're meant to do, which is an easy way out of it. But our lives are going to change, and this young boy, his will be different than children that are now 15, 16, but even the 15 and 16-year-olds, their life is going to change, our world is going to change because of the environment, because of climate change.
Because I know David Attenborough was out recently on the news and saying that we've 12 years or something to turn it around.
If we have 12 years.
And that seems quite shocking, you know, in a way, but maybe...
But I told everyone 10 years ago that lots of countries have already bought up the land that is under the ice and claiming it as France, as Russia, as America. It's all that has been done, but you're not told. But I did tell you.
Yeah.
You know.
So I need to read the books again.
Well, I'll give you little snippets.
Yeah.
You know, but Ireland is a wonderful country.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and the Irish people are brilliant. And, you know, I know one thing we have to do is plant more broadleaf trees. I've been talking about that for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, but we need to take care of, you're Irish and you're here, you know, take care of our environment here in Ireland. So if you can press our government, any of you, in any way, go ahead and do it, stand up and be counted. Like, I always remember being shocked as a child, and maybe I was 14, 15 or maybe a little older, and my father having me at a river, not far from Selbridge.
Okay.
And at that time there was so much pollution in that river, and it was the local fishermen, like my dad, that helped clean it up.
Yeah.
You know, we have to kind of, when we're out and if you see something needs taken care of, to take care of it. But that was the first polluted river I ever saw, and that was here in Ireland.
Exactly. No, because you think when people's lives are so busy nowadays as well, and yet if we don't care for all the other things, if we don't care for the environment, exactly, but it's try to...
No, we have to, and that is what Angel Jemison is always saying, and he's been really pestering me the last few years. You just don't know the half of it, you know, and, you know, with his staff, or his big stick as I used to call it as a child, it just makes the earth vibrate. But the earth is, you know, what we call Mother Earth. It is fighting back, and science knows that.
Yes.
You know, but we have a great future. Remember those wonderful futures that have been shown, where it's like as if we renew our planet, you know. And one story I always say, because it's in the books, where the children don't need a bridge to cross the river. They cross the river without a bridge.
Yeah.
Like, so we definitely don't need all the material. I know we don't need all the material things we have, but I think that's fascinating. Myself, I think that's incredible. How's God going to manage that? How are we? But yet I know it is that we have become, our souls have become, you know, intertwined with our human body. You know, at that stage, the little boy there and her and his mom, you know, will talk to each other's guardian angel, like, you know, as if it's just normal, everyday thing, or even the young boy down there, you know. So we need to awaken our children, because they're another generation coming up.
You talk in your books about that, about the intertwining of the soul and the physical body, and you know that in one time that will happen. But I wondered in the last 10 years, because you've been shown at times maybe the soul of loved ones, but also been shown the soul of living people. Have you seen that, like a progression in people, or has it happened to anyone?
That's a really big question she's asking. You know, I'm saying to myself, in what measurement.
So
Do you mean?
parts.
Do you mean really? And I do believe it is happening, and I do believe it is happening for some of us. And some children, there's some children that I have met, but as well I have spoken about the glowing babies, glowing children. But the few that have been chosen and have said yes, they have been a great help, like yourself.
Okay.
You know, and my family, and someone else who had said yes over the last 2 years has been, and just like Claire, sorry, Claire, you know, sometimes people will say, yeah, I'll give you a helping hand, but then they change their mind, because a lot of people are afraid of the subject.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes even priests and nuns are afraid of it, or bishops are afraid of it, and sometimes they reject, and then you get open arms from others.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so it's kind of all up and down and inside out, like in that way. And yet, you know, since 2017, I think it started just before 2017, in different countries I would be in, sometimes a priest or a nun or a rabbi or a minister or a nimma, there's so many different names. They have been coming up to me and asked me a question that actually kind of stunned me, because they're all in the religious service.
Yes.
You know, they're meant to know a lot more than the average person, than the ordinary person. And they came up and asked me, Lorna, by the way, is God real?
Yeah.
A lack of faith. You know, all as I can do is reassure you God is real, and you have a soul, and you have a beautiful guardian angel right there with you, and you don't die. So I would always say to everyone, try and be as loving and caring to yourself, so you can be loving and caring to everyone else around you. And, you know, anything you can do that's positive in this world, do it, no matter how small it is. Go and do it. Like when I was abroad again, another extreme case, and I won't go into the ins and outs, but his sister, she turned around, she says, the only thing I want from God this Christmas is, she says to me, is I think she was either 12 or 14. I'm a bit confused whether they were twins or not twins. But she says, the only thing I want from God, Lorna, this Christmas, and if you think God granted it, you know, she was really, you know, it was something that was upsetting her, and it was that her brother would talk to her.
Really?
And I said to her, no problem, and sort that out right now. And I went over and spoke to her brother, and her brother turned around and said, Lorna, do I have to? You know, and I said yes.
But you know, as you say that, there could be people in the audience today that maybe in their families, their siblings don't talk to each other.
Wow.
And I just wondered, you know.
Yeah, I think if this is Christmas time, this is, you know, the end of time and the beginning again, you know, the two coming together, and again when the gates of heaven are just open that little bit more, this is an opportunity for everyone to either send a Christmas card, make that call, or just say to whoever it is, you know, you love them. You know, you have this opportunity at this time of the year, and we shouldn't pass it by. And again, I would say, make sure there's nobody in your family alone this Christmas, because this is the time of the year we have suicides of all ages, you know, because they feel alone. So it's like, even if a young person on Christmas is locking themselves up in their room and not really coming down, then bring Christmas up to their room. You know, show them you care, you love them, you know, open that door, help them to see that light of hope. Because the new year, it's kind of, you know, they're both passing each other, you know, and it's new beginnings, you know, for us as well. We can change the things of the past, in the sense, if you had a row, forget the row, it doesn't matter. And say maybe Happy Christmas, or isn't it a great day? Give someone else a little bit of hope. fill their life with a little bit of light, and that can be a stranger. I had what was it? I think about a week and a half ago, I was out running about the place, and this young teenager walks up to me and just says, "Why do you have a smile on your face?" And I just said to her, "But it's Christmas, I'm so happy." You know, and she just looked at me and she says, "But I'm not happy." And I said, "Why are you not happy?" And she says, "Because I just feel so down and lonely." And I said to her, "Well, here, let me give you a big hug and let you know that someone loves you. I love you." And when we hugged each other, it was like as if, how can I say it, her body jiggled.
Really? Yeah.
You know, and she just said, "Oh, that felt really good, thank you." You know, and she went, I haven't seen her since, like, you know, but it's to give love to someone, to give them even a little bit of hope, regardless of their age or who they are. I think we all kind of put, what would you call it, you know, I can't love that person because that person is different than everyone else I know, like in that way, but we all have to love each other and take down all those barriers. So when you get home, tell your brothers and sisters, your parents, your aunts and uncles, your friends, but even those then you don't like, will you go and tell them you love them too? It could be a new thing you do for, you know,
For Christmas.
For Christmas, and you continue into the new year, and you might discover that some of those you thought you didn't like are actually turn out to be very good friends in the end. So open those doors. If you've had a row with any of your family or your friends, rows aren't worth it. Okay?
You know, this is a bit of a different event, obviously, because, you know, we're celebrating 10 years and we're going back over different things that have happened, but a lot of the beautiful messages that are in the books you've been talking about today. But one thing I kind of feel we should ask is something that I suppose you answer sometimes at a lot of the events because everything changes, but what are the angels up to in the room at this moment in time?
Well, just looking down at everyone and just watching your guardian angels, they're, what would I say, I don't know how to explain it, but there's great joy and they're expressing that within themselves. And then those unemployed angels are just kind of, at the moment, you see, the thing is, at the moment at Christmas, you know, the beginning and the end, or the end and the beginning, we're passing through. Yeah. The angels are all, I've never said this before, but the angels, they act a little different.
Really?
You know, there's seems to be, how can I say it, a burst of, even, God, I don't know how to explain this. Well, let's say humanly, a burst of joy.
Okay, yeah.
But yet angels are never sad or never unhappy.
Okay.
They're always happy.
So they're super joyful.
But there's something different. And then just, you know, even when I was driving down here today from my son's house and just seeing, you know, those beautiful angels that come through the gate of heaven at this time of the year, you know, carrying those balls of light, and I driving along and slightly glancing and seeing these balls of light being dropped on homes, and I know each ball of light is, you know, it's a gift from God to fill us again with hope, the spirit of Christmas. What Christmas is meant to do, bring all the good in you out.
Right.
You know, it's meant to step over all of the boundaries.
Yeah.
It's meant to make you loving and compassionate.
Yeah.
You know, and yet so that love and compassion fills you with so much joy. Yeah. You know, I'm sorry, I'm feeling it. You know, I want to dance even though I can't dance.
Exactly, yeah.
That way. You know, so the angels are doing so many different things at this time of the year. And your guardian angels are kind of, in a sense, helping you to feel the sense of Christmas, and yet lots of us trying to turn that off. It's not just about Santa Claus, but yet when that child was born 2,000 years ago or more, it was brought the first gifts. Yeah. Have you ever thought of that? You know, the first gifts, these shepherds brought these lambs to this child, you know, the stranger they knew nothing about.
Yeah.
And then these wise men seemingly had travelled for months or whatever and brought precious oils that were, you know, really expensive in material things way back then. And these wise men brought these. They were the first Santa Clauses.
Yeah.
You know, bringing a gift to a child, making sure this newborn infant is taken care of, is kept warm and is loved, and the parents are looked after as well.
And celebrated.
Yeah, it's incredible when you think about it. Way back then, and in today we're more or less only thinking about the material thing. But Christmas is really gathering family and friends. You don't have to have huge presents. You don't have to, you know, in my house, we're planning for as many to be all around for Christmas, and not just one person cooks the dinner. Everyone does, because no one person could do it, but it's to enjoy doing every little thing together as a family and friends.
Yeah.
You know, it's to enjoy those moments, because they're precious. Oh, sorry, I've said no more. I keep on chatting. I know you have questions.
I do have loads of questions, but I feel like the time is... Well, one thing, I suppose, two things. You were talking about love, and I do want to talk about that a little bit. And, you know, it's one of the things as well that, you know, it's helped, the books have helped people, you know, I suppose have hope about love and about finding love and or keeping love and things like that. So, and I know, and this is a really cheeky question, right? So you can tell me again that you're not going to answer it, and this is what my husband says, you can't ask that. But you have had love in your life and you've lost love in your life. And so I'm wondering, if God has you that busy, would you ever be open to having love in your life again?
Sometimes I just say yes, but then sometimes to say to God, like, that's impossible, because no way could a man cope with my life. My life belongs to everyone in the world. I belong to everyone, not just one person. And my children even find that they have to share me.
Yeah.
And that's even hard for them. And even my grandchildren, you know, it's kind of, we have to make an appointment to see Granny.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that. Sometimes I just say, yeah, it would be nice when I get home for a journey to, you know, go for a cup of tea with someone or whatever. But I don't know.
I don't know. And for other people maybe in the audience who are not sure as well, what would you say to them?
Well, I always would say that if love kind of trips you up, I would say that. I would enjoy it if love did trip me up. Okay. I don't know how God could fit all that in.
He's fit it a lot in so far, so maybe. Well, and the only other thing, I suppose, before maybe we move to questions and answers, and you touched on it there, but it was about self-love. And I think that's one of the most beautiful messages that come through in all the books, really, from Angels in My Hair right through. It's about loving yourself, because we do think, you know, that's being a bit selfish. Or so what would you say?
Well, I would say to everybody to maybe make it your resolution to love yourself just a little bit more, because you can't love anyone else any more than you love you. You know, you can't be that good Samaritan, or someone else can't be that good Samaritan to you unless you love yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you walk past the person that has just been attacked because you don't love yourself. You're afraid.
Yeah.
You know, and even within life, if you're feeling down within yourself, again, it's if a person or a young person can learn to start to love themselves, a little bit more, they'll find their anxiety and all of that will ease. Things will ease because they'll start to feel better within themselves. But I know it's very hard to do, but yet it can be done. It's like reminding yourself in the morning when you wake up, you know, I'm a good person. It's something simple like that. Or today I'm going to love myself. I'm going to take a little treat from me 2 minutes out, or even 1 minute. And I would say, if it's sunshine, you know, I'm going to stand in the sun and let the sun beam down on me. It's simple little things, you know. Or I'm going to tell myself I love me. You know, or I'm going to try and love me the way my guardian angel loves me. Because your guardian angel loves you unconditionally, and we have conditions for ourselves. And it's like, start putting those conditions into a box, or sometimes I used to say, you know, put it into a bag, whatever, and bury it in the cornfield. You know, dig a hole and put it in there, and it's gone. And I think a lot of young people today are suffering a lot with anxiety, with nervousness, with lack of self-esteem and all of that. But that's because the world is putting them down or telling them, you know, you shouldn't love yourself. You know, you're not important, you're not good. And the thing is, you are unique. Each and every one of us is unique and different. We are perfect in so many ways. You know, there is no one else like that young girl there. See her? Smile. Yes, smile. Yes, you. There's no one else in the world like her. And no one can be like her. Like, lots of young people say to me, or even older, can be in their 30s, you know, or even older again, and it doesn't matter what age, and they say, I'm depressed, I'm down, I'm suffering with a whole load of different things, but they're forgetting to be themselves. You know, they're all the time thinking of, well, I want to be like Beyonce, I want to be like, but you can never be those people. You know, like no other singer can be Beyonce. They may try to copy her, and then they're wondering why they're not doing as well as her, because they can't be her. You know, they have to be themselves, unique themselves. It's like, you know, you're a fashion designer, or you're working in a you know, let's say an apartment store, and you suddenly decide, I'm going to be myself within this job. When you try to be yourself more and more, you actually get happier because you're actually starting to love yourself. And then you stop taking personally things others say, because it's like, oh, that's okay. I love them anyway. You know, don't take it. You learn not to take things personally because you see from a different perspective. So give yourself the gift this Christmas of loving you. Even if you're sitting down and you're putting a whole load of cream on something and you're saying, I'm going to just love this for me. You know, go and do it. Like, just go and do it. And if any of your family asks you, what are you putting all